That is so friggin' bright. So, I don't have any video ideas, but I am back in a reading slump. A video before this, it wasn't really the point to get out of a reading slump. It was kind of just like reading whatever I want. And then the first week, got out of it. And then the second one, fell back into it. Now, I read maybe 10, 15 pages of a book today. I am feeling very unmotivated to be reading basically anything, which is very sad. And I truly am wondering if it is the book that I'm currently reading, which is The Jasad Heir. I currently forget the author's name, but I don't even really know what I want to read. I was reading a lot of romantasy last time, and I did go very quickly through those books, and so I'm kind of like, should I go and look up recommendations for like Kindle Unlimited romantices and go and read those? Because that's been what has been working for me. But I don't think I'm gonna necessarily get out of the slump. It's just genuine like want and motivation to read that I'm currently missing. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to pick that back up because a lot of the book series that I want to read are like either coming out next year or later this year, or they're parts of series that I like want to buy the physical copy to, because for an example, the Blood Sworn by John Gwynne. The first book is The Shadow of the Gods. The second book is on Kindle Unlimited, but I have the physical version of it, and then also his series that he wrote. Is it? I don't. All I know is something Malice. I know that that's one of the books, and then Malice, Wrath. I don't know the rest of them, but I've been like wanting to get the physical version of the second book, and then all of the other books that he's written aren't on Kindle Unlimited, so it's kind of just like I have to. Well, I don't have to buy it, but I like want to buy those books and read it. And I also find I addressed this in the other video that whenever I have a physical book, I tend to finish that. But whenever it's a digital book, I don't know why it's like nails on a chalkboard. I just can't finish it, or I DNF it so much easier. And it's maybe because I'm not able to look and see like the physical amount that I've read or progress that I've made. Like there's numbers on the bottom of the screen in percentages and how many pages I have left. But for some reason, I don't think that triggers the part of my brain that's like, well, I'm almost done, so I can just finish this. Instead, it's like, there's 100 pages left, and I don't really want to read that. Like, ugh. Although if there's 100 pages left in a book that's like 300 pages, I'm probably going to finish that book, just saying. But I woke up and did everything that I wanted to do today, which was an abnormal thing for me. I woke up at 6:30 today, which is abnormal, and it's what I've been wanting to do, but I haven't been doing. So it's very funny to me that I did the rest of the stuff I wanted today, and that I just barely read it all today. And I think that comes from a place of just wanting to sit and watch YouTube. Like, I think I have an addiction to YouTube. Like, maybe I need to do one of those swapping screen time videos. It's horrendous as of right now, so I don't think I could do it because it's bad, okay? And I think I need to kind of confront that either by like, I know I don't like it and I think that it's a bad thing, but kind of forcing myself to keep reading just so that I get through books and like get back in a rhythm of doing it. And it's not like that I've lost all love for books. It's just the certain stories my brain just doesn't want to doesn't want to have to really do too much work, and I'm just like, I kind of just want to turn my brain off and watch funny people on YouTube. Like that's all I really want. So to have to actually read and use my brain, but I've always loved reading because I've been able to escape the world and kind of go into this new one that this author has created. So it's like a thing of I love being distracted and laughing at funny people on YouTube, but I also really love going into these really beautiful worlds. But I also like recently haven't wanted to actually put effort behind reading an intense world that somebody's trying to build. So, that's really fun. But if you know from my last video, which you might not, I've been DNFing a lot of books. So, well, not a lot, but a lot for me, especially within a week. So, we're gonna see how this goes. We'll see what books I do read, if I read any at all. Just genuinely a lack of motivation to read currently. So, we'll see. It's also 10 p.m. right now. Just so that you know, you're gonna be seeing me tomorrow. None of the clips from today. I don't have anything from today. Like, I genuinely just blacked out today. That's what happened. Anyways, see you later. Oh, low lighting is probably the best form to see me in right now, just because of how bad my skin is. Remember how I was talking about DNFing a bunch of books? I don't think I have technically DNF'd Jasad Air, but did I read like 100, almost 140 pages of Two Twisted Crowns today? Maybe. I also, from Libby, just got a hold that my second hold on Jasmine Throne is in. The first time I had it, I think I got like 15% through it, and then I just like stopped. Again, don't know what's happening with library books. Don't know why I have a library subscription if I'm just gonna DNF all the books that I get from there. It's genuinely bad. Maybe I need to go in person and get these books because, like, maybe I'll actually read them. But anyways, so I might start reading that soon, especially since I'm already like 15% in, and I got like, I don't know if it's necessarily a spoiler, but I do know some stuff that like possibly happens further on in the book. So I read One Dark Window, and the very funny thing about this second book is we are focusing on the like side characters, or at least like one of two of the side characters, really. In this, get a point of view from Elm, who's the prince. That's a spoiler. I almost just said a spoiler. And I remember in the first book being like loving him so much because he was just saying all the things that I was thinking. Just like the side characters, I was loving them so much. But in this, we now have like a completely different romance. And I was talking about, like, I don't know how they're gonna do stuff in this book. Apparently it's a different romance, and I'm all here for it, honestly. Him compared to Raven, and just like the sarcasm, but also like the broodiness, he just has all the attributes that I love in a character, genuinely. So it's really nice. I really loved him as a side character, and I was like, I hope we get more of him. And then I saw a chapter for him, and I was like, but we do still have the side story of Raven and Elizabeth. I know it's supposed to be like Elizabeth kind of thing. So like Elspeth, Elizabeth, I don't know. Listen, Nightmare, he's definitely messed up, but I do love him, okay? I do love characters that are trying to get revenge for things that have happened in them in the like really far past. Do I love it in I keep bringing up this series, but it's just because it's like lives in my heart. Stormlight Archives, when they're talking about like they won't help them because of what happened in the past. No, I don't like that. Do I understand why? Yes, absolutely. But it is just really funny watching this character go after these people, and it's a different situation because in Stormlight they're actually good and they're worthy of having, the grudge to be taken off of them. But in this, it's like, oh no, these people are still bad. Like, I understand, and you should be taking your revenge. Like, I normally, well, that's a lie. Normally, I do root for these types of characters, unless they're going against my beloved characters. Then I'm like, no, get out of here. But it's pretty good so far, genuinely. Just his character and the situation that they've set up and the already like little things that have already happened. I will say the romances in both of these books are more fast paced than I would like it for it to be. Now, has stuff happened in this story yet? No, but I'm guessing that it will happen soon. And will I be mad about it? No, I will not be. But yeah, I will say that the beginning of it was very much like, I wouldn't say took me a minute to get into, but it kind of was like what I was talking about with like world building and stuff. And I think it's such a really cool magic system that she has set up in this, and so I'm not mad about reading about that. I also think that the way that the first book ended set up a really interesting plot line, and now we're adding to having a perspective from a character that I already liked, and then a romance with that character, so we get to read more about that while they're also on a mission. Like, that's perfect. I love that. But I think it's funny because I do think that the second book is rated higher than the first one, which is really funny to me. And I can guess why. Elm is, I love him so much. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. I haven't read anything else. Genuinely. Am I gonna get out of the slump? Probably not. Who knows? Maybe I really do want to try and finish Jasmine Throne, but like, will I? That's the question of the hour, baby. It's now Friday. Oops. I'm on like page 360 something of Two Twisted Crowns. I didn't read for 2 days. Oops. Also, my hold on Jasmine Throne, I took too long to like actually take the loan out, so now I don't have it anymore. Oops. Anyways, Two Twisted Crowns, the romance in it, I like it a lot better than the first one. I like the fact that she actually took her time with it. She keeps mentioning for Raven calloused hands again. What is your obsession with that? Why? Why do we need to talk about that? The whole universe and storyline being fleshed out is really good. Even though I do care a lot more about the romance than like the actual world, but it's still a good world to be in. With the conflict that we're now setting up for like kind of the third act of the book, I am probably gonna hate the majority of it, but when it gets resolved, I'm probably gonna really like it. Because now we know the intention for how the book is going to end, or it is wanting to end. We now are very much coming into a conclusion of everything. You know, that's what a third act is. I don't know what book I'm going to read next. I was planning on reading Jasmine Throne, and then I took too long to get the loan out because I still am reading Two Twisted Crowns. I've also been very bad at videoing this because I don't know. uh, I still look a mess. So, I've been bad about videoing, I've been bad about reading, and I've been just bad all around. So today, instead of editing my other video, I went to the store with my dad, and then also helped to go get dinner. So I had a really fun day, if you're wondering. But while we were there at the store, I saw a book that I've been really wanting to read, which is the Bone series, or Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. I read Priory of the Orange Tree by her. I've yet to read the second book. I forget what it's called, but it's the prequel, I believe, to that book. And I don't really know if I want to read it. I remember I was kind of hyped about it coming out, and then when it came out, I just didn't really care that much. But I saw the new cover for the Bone Season, and I've heard people kind of rave about it. Now, she has like re-released it because of the 10-year anniversary with not only like new covers, but also like I think she's either edited or like kind of added things to the story, but I believe the one that I have in Libby, just because I'm presuming this because of the old cover that's being presented, that it is the older book without all the changes made to it. So, oops, but I think I have like over 100 pages left of the book that I'm currently reading, Two Twisted Crowns. the mythology and everything's really good in it, and that's what I talked about in the last clip. But the bone season, from the description that I read on the back of it, does not really sound like something that I would personally like. It's set in the future, but that's like really the only thing. Like basically having technology in it, I'm like, I don't like this. But there is like an aspect, at least in the synopsis, of like enemies to lovers. I've heard people rave about that series. I've like been debating whether or not I want to read fantasy. I think that this might lean possibly a little bit more sci-fi, but I do know that it is in line with a lot of the stories that I've been reading recently, which are like about people being like outcasted because of who they are. They're like against the law, they're hiding their identities. And have I been eating those up? Absolutely. All I do know is that there's I think a novella that comes before this, the first book, and then I know that there's like I think each book has like a novella in between. I know that there's probably people who recommend a certain reading order, but I'm just gonna read it the way that everything's numbered, and if that angers people, I'm okay with that. I also, just because of how pretty the book is, I do kind of just want to buy it after I read it digitally, just because of how pretty it is. And also, if I do like it, maybe I can annotate it. Although I've never really reread a book in my entire reading time. I think the only book I've ever considered doing that for is Six of Crows. And I really do want to reread that. So maybe that will happen. I don't know. Anyways. Yay! New developments, guys. I really need to get back. I was gonna say about filming, and then I accidentally stopped. Isn't that just so quirky? Ironic? You can see all of my acne. It's now Tuesday. I so I finished Two Twisted Crowns, and then I read The Pale Dreamer. I didn't realize that all of the books are only available on Libby. Like I can't take it to Kindle and read it. Now, is that a weird reason for not wanting to read those books? Yes, yes, it is. All right, but let me just say, I did finish Two Twisted Crowns, and I gave it 4 stars. I'm pretty sure it's three, like 3.5, basically. It was good. The world in it, I think, is excellent. The like way that the romance ended in it wasn't as satisfying. Like she definitely completed the story, but not in the way that I was like hoping she would. And then the kind of like big drama thing that happens is like annoying and frustrating, but I think that it kind of had to be, because it would have just been like a classic uninteresting ending if she didn't twist it. All that to say, I just wish that the romance got a little bit more attention, like the first one between Raven and Elspeth got in the first book. I'm very happy that we got Elm's perspective. I do wish that we got Ion's perspective. Like, the fact that we didn't get her perspective is honestly like a tragedy, okay? When you have a romance and it's not dual POV, I don't like it as much, alright? Sometimes you just want to see the men pining over these women and like their complicated feelings and everything, so it doesn't just feel like one-sided and like weirdly abusive. You know what I mean? Where they're like weirdly toxic to them, but like they're actually like in love with them. Sometimes it's like written good enough to where that's not what was happening in this book though. Don't like Elm is a sweetheart and I absolutely love him. He was not doing that, but I do really love when there's two point of views, and we didn't get that in this book. But I gave The Pale Dreamer like 3 stars. The concept is very interesting. I also do think that I would want to read the edited versions of it instead of just kind of like the older versions of it, just because I feel like if she wants it to be a certain way, I should read it that way. And I should also give it its full time appreciation and not try to read it while I'm trying to get out of a slump and like not necessarily forcing myself, but I feel like I kind of would if it's not something that's really fun just because I've heard so much hype about it. Or like DNFing it and not giving its time of day when it could be like something that I absolutely love if I'm just not in the weird place that I am now. But I started the like Spark of the Everflame series, which does have to do with like a human fae type thing. I did read like 100 pages, but that's because I was staying up last night for reasons that you don't need to know about. There's hair flying everywhere, but I don't really like fae stories, which is really funny because I did really like the Cruel Prince series, and I do want to read the, I believe it's just a duology of like the continuation of Oak, I believe, who is Jude's younger brother and is set to be like the king once, I believe, Carden is like once Oak is basically of age is what I believe that is. But I don't really like face stuff because it's just like they're magical and humans are weak and they get tricked really easily, and I'm like and then they like have weird ways that like humans outsmart them and stuff, and it's just like, huh? It's interesting so far. Basically it's just like there's royalty, she's a healer. You know that storyline where somebody's sick and they're like, you're a healer, come in and heal people, and they're like, I don't want to, and then the person like falls in love with them. Anyways, I don't know if I think it's a trilogy. I don't know if it follows the same story throughout it. All I know is that from the beginning we've already set up a really intense kind of storyline that's supposed to be happening. Like crazy storyline that she's already set up, and it's at least alluded to. I don't know the full thing, but anyways, that's what I'm currently reading. I've been really bad about videoing, so sorry about that. I look horrible. So it's been like, oh, not a week. It's been like, I know, a good amount of days. This video is gonna go. Actually, I shouldn't say anything on camera because that never happens. It's Tuesday, by the way. I literally didn't do this yesterday, but because of how scattered this video is, I'm going to do another week of this. So, I stopped reading for a little bit, and then, or no, I was reading Spark of the Everflame. I think I'm DNFing that, which is crazy because that's like the first Kindle book I've DNF'd. I'm so lost in what I have and haven't DNF'd at this point. It's just chaos. In my mind, not good. But I am currently reading Gideon the Ninth, and then what I thought was a graphic novel. It's not. It has photos in it. It has a cover that makes it look like it would have been like a manga or a graphic novel. It's not. My Demonic Cultivation, I wanted to read it because of Throne of Pages. Also, premise just sounded interesting. It's this dude who gets killed and then he's like resurrected in a different body. That's all I really know so far. And there's like a lover thing that happens. I don't know. But I've read like 135, 40 pages, probably 35 pages of Gideon the Ninth. I'm liking it. I'm liking it so far. And it's from my library. So it'd be really shocking. But I don't know what happened. A little switch just got turned in my head to where I'm like liking books like that again. Instead of being like, I need romanticy. It's kind of more sci-fi-ish, and I really like when movies and books have this, where it's like a futuristic world, but it's in a way to where it's kind of just like reminiscent of it, like it's old style, but there's like new technology that we have now kind of just laying around, either not in use or like if it is, it's really crappy. I don't know how to explain that, but I like that. Also, the writing and the sarcasm is so good, and the possible relationship in it. I think the reason I'm liking it so much is because of the humor. It is very much like sarcasm. I also think it's written by a British person, so that makes a lot of sense. But it's making me giggle a little bit. And the possible love story that could happen, If I'm believing right, I think Harrow the Ninth is the next book after Gideon the Ninth, and I think that the character in this book is going to be following her. I didn't know that Gideon was a girl, if I'm going to be very honest, and am I happy that it is? Yes, yes I am, because I'd much rather follow a female protagonist than a dude. Her whole past is very mysterious, and like the ninth planet and just the world in general with necromancy and the way that their whole system works of like not necessarily gods but like people who are revered as that, like kings and stuff, like the rulers, and the kind of situation that the planet of the ninth, which Gideon and Harrow are from, Harrow Hark, I guess. I'm just liking that so far, which is very surprising. But yeah, I just needed to update you on that. I have now read 250 pages of Gideon the Ninth. It is now turned into a murder mystery, which is really fun, actually. There's also a trial element to this, and so all of the houses are necromancers, but in like different ways. And so the trials kind of test that. But it's very interesting to see the interactions between the different houses and characters, and also just like the dynamic between Gideon and Harrow, and also now kind of there was a hint as to why Gideon is named Gideon. I don't know if that's a spoiler. It probably is, but I haven't read. I've only read one chapter of my demonic cultivation. I should be reading more of that, which it's really funny because both of these deal with like ghosts. We haven't seen ghosts yet in either book because I haven't read demonic cultivation, but in Gideon the Ninth yet. But I just love her character so much and the way that the world is written, because again it is futuristic but it has like the elements of today are so old, and it's I just love worlds like that so much because it's able to make fun of like the devices that we have now from a perspective that doesn't actually understand it, and I always find that really funny. And I keep highlighting in this the sarcastic things that Gideon is thinking or saying, or just like the jokes. I also, the trial elements, because they have like this ultimate goal of becoming something, reminds me of the Atlas 6. I DNF'd that book. I was like halfway through that book. I think I still have it on the Kindle app, so maybe I should read it. But just the way that everybody's kind of interacting with each other, and some people are hostile, some people are being really helpful and trying to solve the trials together, while some people are possibly stealing from other people. It's all just that kind of dynamic of like, can you really trust these people, or are they just playing you for a fool while you're also trying to maybe play them as well? And then just Gideon and Harrow's dynamic. I already said that, but listen, like she has as of right now between Gideon and like a different character, like not necessarily like a romance, but like it's established that Gideon's like that person's hot. Although majority of the female characters, she's like, but she's like is so funny to me. But yeah. I am enjoying this book, which is very funny because I keep struggling to read library books. And I literally wrote down, like, please let me get like a 5-star. Do I think that this book is a 5-star? As of right now, no. But like, it's so up my alley that it's crazy that I didn't start reading this before. But it makes me excited to read the second book because if I'm remembering right, it is Harrow's book. I don't know what the third book is. I think it's maybe a perspective from a different planet, but I am very interested in that. Although knowing my luck, it would probably be like a month before I can get that. But anyways, see you later. Maybe when I read Demonic Corporation. I don't know. It's nighttime. I'm gonna go to bed. Hi. This video has been an absolute mess, just like my skin is. So it's now Monday. I am literally starting a new video today. So if you see this shirt in another video, just know that that's why. But okay, so I've read so many different things in DNF, so many different things in this video. I kind of forget everything that happened, but I did not, and I probably won't finish my demonic cultivation. We'll see. Maybe in another video. I do doubt it though. That has a very interesting concept, and I do really like it. I'm not in the mood to read that kind of concept though. So like, sorry. I probably will give it another chance in the future because it is very much up my alley, the type of thing that is happening in it. And I also kind of want to know more about it because it's already written well and it has sarcasm and stuff in it, which is something that I freaking love a ton. But I did end up finishing Gideon the Ninth. This book has so many mysteries behind it, but like doesn't really let you in on it. This book is so friggin' good. I gave Gideon the Ninth 4 stars. It was very, very close to being a 5-star. And I think kind of the reason that it wasn't was just because I'm dumb and had a hard time kind of following all of the houses, and also just kind of like some of the jokes didn't exactly land with me. Majority of them did though. But it was very close to a 5-star. It was maybe like a 4.5. Like that's how close it is. It has my type of humor, my type of characters, and then relationships, and just like kind of the chaos that's within this book, and there being trials, and then this really big fight at the end, and then also like the powers and the different houses and the ways that they use them is so interesting. I really, really, really want to read Arrow the Ninth and Nona the Ninth. I believe that's the titles of those books. I did go on Pinterest, and I keep doing this, where I keep going on Pinterest and spoiling myself. I didn't necessarily know what was going to happen to Gideon in this book, but like I kind of did. And then also there's like fan art of like Harrow with like other people that I know of, but like I'm not really like, why are you drawing them together type thing. But that ending was absolutely insane, but I did love it, even though it was kind of like very much like, why why would you put me through this. But it's such an interesting little story. I do think that the only thing really kind of is the like confusion of the houses for me. That was the only part of this, because I had to be like, okay, the 3rd house is this, the 8th house is this, the 7th did this, the 5th is this, and like I had to go through it in my brain for a second, because my brain for some reason, like it's written well, and it's not like it's, you know, convoluted and actually difficult to understand. It's just, I genuinely, if I have to keep track of more than like 4 groups of people in a book, I just can't do that. My brain does not work that way. I can't just sit there and be like, okay, so there's this group of people and they're doing this, and this group of people and they're doing this. If for like 9 groups of people, I can't do that. For like, you know, if you have like 3 different perspectives and we're following that, sometimes I get those confused sometimes. Like that's just, my brain is like, and as even though I'm very absorbed into the plot and like sitting there being like, okay, yeah, sometimes I'm just like, oh, that's not what's happening here. That's my only like really complaint. And there was some jokes that I was like, but that happens in every book that I read that has jokes and sarcasm in it. And it's bound to happen that like maybe 1 or 2 don't land the way that like maybe you want it to, or the way that they thought it would. But it's very hard, especially on paper, to write a joke and have it land, because it's on paper and you don't necessarily see the tone. It's like telling a sarcastic joke through like text. Like it sounds like you're being rude, basically. You know, you have more of like, oh, they're joking kind of thing. And I do love when characters are kind of like us, where we're like, are you being serious right now? And then the character who said it's like, no, I'm joking. Like that's funny. But I'm not gonna fault her for some of the jokes just like not landing. Majority of them did, and I honestly, Gideon is like my spirit animal, honestly. And the relationships, it's just really good. I find it really funny that people are like, this is really wacky. Like this is like her writing's like not for everybody, and it's really wacky. I'm like, just say that you're homophobic. No, but like genuinely, some people are just like so wacky and crazy. I'm like, wasn't that wacky or crazy? I'm like, sure, the powers and stuff are like unique, but it's not that wacky and crazy, my guy. But anyways, the rest of the books that I've read, I think like Spark of the Everflame just kind of felt very, I don't know, I didn't really like the love interest, the like whole like thing behind the main character possibly being, you know, something other than, feels kind of like it's not really hidden that well, and it kind of just feels like it hasn't even been revealed yet, and I'm just like, yeah, I know that that's happening. Like, I feel like we should be guessing along with the character, but we're not in this, which sometimes, yeah, that's fine to have like the audience be like, hey, dumb dumb, look at this thing. Then that happens a lot, but like, didn't like it. Who knows, maybe one day I'll go back to the book. The like plot of it is pretty interesting as of right now, but like not for me. And then I read The Pale Dreamer. Literally, I think I do want to read the newer versions of it, because if the author is changing stuff, I feel like I should honor that and read it the way that they want it to be. And also, just the covers are really pretty. The only reason I had to read it on Libby is because of the new updated versions, because my library only has the older ones, and so I can't read the newer ones. Like, that's, or I can't read the older ones because Amazon's like, we don't have that. We don't have that here, bro. So, yeah, that was fun. I do think it is really interesting. Now, is it not really like up my alley because it is like set in a future, and it doesn't really have technology, but it's like in the future, and so it's kind of like has a little bit more of that. I don't really like books that are set in the future and have technology. I don't know why my brain doesn't like that. Maybe it's just because I'm like, I want to not be in the world that I'm currently in, and so I don't want to read anything with technology in it. And then what else did I read? I've genuinely forgot. I have genuinely forgot. Oh, Two Twisted Crowns. I freaking loved that book. I liked it more than the first one, which is very consistent with the Goodreads reviews. The romance in it was a lot better. I do have to say, though, that it was kind of like the first book, where it was kind of just like instantly there. But like with this one, it worked a lot better than the first one did. And like the first romance was still really good, but the second one, really good. I also think that the world in this, because we kind of already knew everything that was happening in it, and it wasn't kind of just like we have to explain every single thing, and you know, they're kind of the side quest of going on this thing, and you now have like one of the people who was there explaining stuff. Like, that makes it so much easier to digest than it kind of just being like, you know, like first books in fantasy series where sometimes it's just very like chunky to get through, and then the rest of it you're like, oh, this is fantastic, because you know what's happening. And I feel like that's what happened with this second book, because it was like, oh, this is what's happening, and I'm not like sitting here having to be like, okay, that's what this is, and then like, you know, having to spend so much time on the world rather than like the relationships, which it kind of felt like that's what happened. But I do have to say, I'm not mad at either romance in that series. And I do really love the ending of that book. I like the whole revealing of some of the things at the end of that was really good. I do love Elm so much. I think I said that in when I was reading the first book about how much I liked the side characters more, and it was like she was listening to me, even though that book was published before I started the first one. But it was genuinely so nice to be able to see the background characters, and just kind of their relationships was so really well done. This was kind of the scenario, though, where it was just like, where you're reading a book and you have it where there's somebody going on a quest, but there's a relationship happening, and you're kind of just like, I don't care, and you're just reading to get to the next part with the two characters that you care about, kind of thing. I was interested in the quest, and the characters' relationship and how they were gonna resolve that. But like, I was kind of just like, I want to see Elm. I was just like, give me Elm, give it. That's this video basically. I genuinely, this has been over 3 weeks. Like, genuinely, that is how bad this slump has been. Have I gotten out of it? No, I have not. I have been wanting to read a lot more, which is really good, but like, I didn't get out of the slump. Okay, I'm still slightly in it, but so the goal not met, but we're a little bit more there, and that's all that really matters. But anyways, thank you so much for watching this mess of a video. Like and subscribe, and I will see you whenever I post. But anyways, thank you.